Good afternoon, everyone. Magandang hapon. Good afternoon sa lahat ng nanonood saan ka man naroon sa Pilipinas at sa buong mundo. Welcome to People Manager on Cam. This is the online show of the People Management Association of the Philippines, the premier association of HR professionals and people managers in the Philippines. Welcome to our show. My name is Joanne. I am the APAC Customer Success Manager of LHH, and I am your host for today. I'm so excited to be with you all. Pasko na. Although medyo malit lang ng konti. But I can feel Christmas is spring. Are you ready for Christmas? Did you already put up your Christmas decorations? I already did. And so we will be seeing you this month, November and December. So many exciting topics and so many exciting episodes and conversations that we will have. This show airs every third Wednesday afternoon, and we have four segments. All of these segments aim to share and discuss critical HR and business matters, and each follows our segments follows the acronym of PNAP. P is the first segment for People Watch. We highlight our peers, leaders in HR or upcoming talents in the community. And for most, it allows us to be updated with the non-negotiables in our daily lives and an aim for anticipate these things, ideas, or innovations or breakthroughs that we all need to look forward to. And in the fourth segment, Break Your Heart, we will be excited health and wellness, lifestyle tips, fashion trends, and hobbies. This month's special episode is in honor of World Mental Health Day. So just a reminder, you are important. Each of us is important. We are valid and we deserve all the good things in life. As we begin this show, I invite you to stay with us until 2 p.m. and be engaged by sending out your comments or questions in the comments section. Also, stay tuned for your various segments which will be hosted by HR leaders from our industry. Let's get the ball rolling by going to our first segment of the day, the People Watch. And to introduce this segment and to facilitate our conversation in this segment, so excited to introduce to you the People and Culture Director of Expressions Stationery. Here is Miss Joan Chun. Hi, Joan. Take it away.
Hi, Joanne. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to People Watch, where we celebrate our peers, colleagues, coaches, and mentors, promising our upcoming talents and leaders in the community that never fail to inspire us to pay forward the goodness, blessings, or breakthroughs that we receive. I am Joan Chung, and as Ms. Joanne mentioned, I'm the People and Culture Director of Expressions. And for today's segment, we will highlight industry leaders that foster the health and well being of their employees. To join us as our guest for today, we have the CEO of one of the most iconic bookshops in the Philippines. Let us all welcome Mr. June Cabochan. Good afternoon, Sir
Good
June.
afternoon. Good afternoon, Joanne. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for joining us today in our show.
It's my pleasure.
All right, so let's dive right in. Maybe you can tell us first, no, how did Pandayan came to be? How did you come up with Pandayan?
Pandayan was a spin-off from a supermarket, a family business. We took out the school and office supplies and set it up as an independent store in
Mhm.
1993. So today we have 137 stores today,
Wow,
137 in
that's a lot.
Luzon. Luzon. Yes.
And given the 137 stores, no, how many people do you have right now?
We have over 1,000 people,
Okay.
a little over 1,000.
And how do you manage the well-being of your employees?
First of all, I'd like to mention that the intention to promote the well-being of your employees is not a little thing. To do it,
Mhm.
you have to think about it constantly. And as a CEO, I think I spend most of my working time thinking about the welfare of our employees. And this is how I came out with certain ideas that help our employees. For example, each company has a mission statement. But
Mhm.
apart from that mission statement for the success of the company, we also have a mission statement for employees, and we call it Pangarap sa Panday. And it has five
Mhm.
elements that each regular employee will sooner or later buy a house and lot, send his children to good schools, eat nutritious food, wear decent clothing, and spend leisure time once in a while. So every year we do a survey. We measure how many have constructed houses or how many have bought lots or house and lots. So we stand by this as a measure of our success. And it's so fulfilling to see that a good number of our employees slowly make their dreams come true of having their own house and lots. And maybe it's easier in the provinces because land is more affordable. So that's an advantage. But of course, to make all of this happen, you have to have a systematic approach because employees also need the wherewithal, the financing to buy a house and lot. So we thought that we should be able to provide good work for employees. And by good work, we mean good pay, fair treatment, meaningful work, a happy workplace, and a bright future. So this motivates employees to do really good work in return for the pangarap para sa Panday. It's
Wow.
systemic. We have a kultura ng tagumpay.
How
Yes.
do you sustain this culture?
This culture is sustained by constantly working at it. We remind each other, and our behavior reinforces it. So, for example, our system of incentives come from a common pool. So that means it is in the interest of all workers to help each other because the bonuses and the incentives come from the bonus pool.
Okay.
Everyone gets an equal share depending on their rank. So we have monthly bonuses and annual profit sharing. So this is one way of reinforcing the behaviors that we want. Teamwork, helping each other out, looking out for each other, pakikipagkapwa-tao.
Okay.
So, yes.
Wow. It seems like a very intensive culture building activity. No? It's a program in itself. Do you have other supporting programs that align with this main program of Pangarap para sa Panday?
Yes, for example, our benefits program. So that the kapwa panday or the employee feels that he or she is taken care of by the company, we extend the benefits to the family. For
Okay.
example, if a family member is hospitalized, the employee can take care of her child or her spouse, his child or his spouse, for 30 days in the hospital and get full pay at the same time. This is apart from the vacation leave or the sick leave. We call this a hospital leave, something like the hospital care leave. So the employee feels that not only he or she is taken care of, but also her or his family. If the employee joins the family day of the school, he or she gets full pay. If the employee celebrates the wedding anniversary with the spouse, he or she gets full pay. So we try to tailor our benefits so that the well-being of the employee, there is a sense of well-being for the employee.
They say nga na especially you're a retail company, no, and there's a saying that whatever you give the employee, it's what they will give in return to the customers, no. How have you seen this impact your business as a whole?
We have a Kapwa company model, and the inputs, the resources that come inside the company are processed using pagpapakatao, pakikipagkapwa-tao, and pagkamakatao. So this creates an employee who feels really cared for and wakes up in the morning feeling great, wanting to go to work, being very creative. And all this creativity pours back into the company. I like to think that 80% of our good ideas to help customers to improve the company comes from employees. So it becomes a virtuous cycle. You help your employees help you. It's human nature, di ba?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Nagkakaroon ng malasakit, no?
nagkakaroon ng malasakit. Yes. That's how it works. It's a two-way traffic because
Uh-huh.
sometimes we give benefits or increases in pay, but we impose conditions. We say you will get this, but you have to be this hardworking. You have to produce this output. So sometimes we call that kaliwaan, and it's it helps, but it's not so conducive to trust and to openness to each other. It's transactional. But but when you're open to each other, a lot of things emerge that you don't expect. For example, I didn't expect our employees to spend time outside of working hours for the benefit of customers. They would go to the houses of customers to set up decorations that we do pasadya, we call it, for customers. They will go to the houses of customers to fix their printers. The employees don't ask for overtime for this. And when other stores need stock, they will wait by that roadside early in the morning, sometimes 5 or 6 in the morning, just to get the stock to deliver to the customer. They don't ask for overtime. So I never expected this when professional shoplifters attack our store and manage to steal a lot of things, the employees report it and they share in the losses. They don't point to the security guard. I never
Mhm.
expected that to do all of this or to contribute money to customers who lack the full amount to pay for their purchases. The employees actually extend loans or give money outright to customers because we're in the provinces. Many of our customers are come from the poorer brackets. So sometimes they
Uh-huh.
really lack the full money to pay for their purchases. So all of
Wow.
this happened. It's a wonder for me. Really, it's a wonder. I never expected all of this to happen, but good things happen when you treat your employees very well. That's my experience. I don't know if it's universal, but in our experience, that's the way it works.
It's such a nice story, no? It's like within your organization, you're giving to your employees, and in their own little way, they are able to pay it forward to the people who are in need, no, without expecting anything in return. And at the same time,
Yeah.
they're also paying it back to your company, right, by doing great work.
Sometimes it happens in a magnificent way. For
Mm-hmm.
example, during the pandemic, when our stores were closed, we
Yeah.
gave allowances to our employees, our own ayuda, aside from the ayuda we got from the government. And the employees felt so secure. Sometimes some of them said they had more cash than they had before the pandemic. But in return, they used their craft skills to create face shields. We created 75,000 face shields and we
Mm-hmm.
distributed it to hospitals and to checkpoints. The employees did this by taking the bicycle or walking around, risking going inside hospitals when everybody was so afraid of getting the virus. They had the energy and the courage to do this. It was really a great proof that when you treat your employees very well, they become capable of magnificent things. I'm so proud of them, really.
It's such a beautiful story. You also mentioned, no, during our run through the other day, that you go around, so you meet with your employees. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Face to face, yes, face to face with employees is a very good practice. I noticed some chain store owners, they just look at the surveillance cameras or rely on reports from their managers. That helps also, but there's nothing like the employees looking at you, seeing you in
Mhm.
person. For example, we visited one store, my wife and I. We wear the same uniform as our employees. So after we left, the other employees asked the manager, "Who were those people?" The manager said, "Don't you know that they're the owners of our company?" And the other employee said, "Why didn't you tell us?" So you can imagine how wearing the same uniform, seeing this in person, emphasizes our egalitarian culture. That there's
Uh-huh.
no one really special. Everyone is treated the same way as much as possible. So there's
Given
not.
that, given that, no, how do you like measure performance? How do you take steps for control? Kasi you said na everybody's like equal. I'm sure you also have your own store managers, but how do you instill discipline?
Yes, discipline is important in any business. Internal controls. So aside from our group executives who handle clusters of stores going around regularly, my wife and I, we go around regularly also especially before the pandemic, and we have auditors who go around. And every month we have performance metrics measuring practically everything about the store. And each store has their own scoreboard. So performance measurement is a big thing in Pandayan. Everybody knows how much the store sells, how much it makes, how much each product category makes. There is nothing secret. We are transparent in that way. So when the time comes around to measure bonuses and incentives, everybody knows that's the real value of their incentives or bonuses. Kasi it's nakakahiya, di ba? Pag-aawayan pa nyo kung tama yung computation ng bonus. Instead of being a benefit, it becomes a point for enmity. So performance measurements help a lot in discipline.
Uh-huh.
We're focused on that also because you cannot just be generous. You have to be disciplined also, like the way you raise your own children, di ba? You
Right,
give
right.
them leeway, but you tell them also what the boundaries are.
That's right. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Um, I have time left for one last question, no? So this is a very engaging conversation. But siguro as a parting advice, no, maybe what is your advice for other business owners? How can we siguro replicate what you have in your store, in your culture?
Each business owner or CEO has a particular approach to success. They might emphasize strategy. It just so happens that I emphasize the people factor.
Right.
But you cannot avoid it. In any business, you will have employees, especially if you have a big company. So I think you have to really pay attention and spend time thinking about your employees. And you have to trust in the benefits of being generous for your employees, that it will turn out right. It's like when you care for your children, you don't, it's not, it's unconditional love. But sooner or later, you will see them returning the love that you gave them. It's the same thing with employees. They're people. So you love them, they will love you back. That's what I can say.
Thank you so much, Sir June. That was a very engaging sharing and very inspiring as well. I've had a little bit of goosebumps while you were sharing your story, especially doon sa pangarap ng Panday, no? This is very inspiring indeed. So again, thank you so much for spending your time with us, Sir June.
Thank you,
Back to
Joanne.
you, Miss Joanne.
Thank you so much, June, and thank you so much, Sir June. This is not the first time that I heard Sir June. The last time I think was last year during the PMAP conference. I was the concurrent host, if I remember it correctly, and I also learned a lot from him. And you're right. Mental health is making sure that our basic needs are there: shelter, food, and and yeah, that's really a very good reminder. I mean, we can all think of all these sophisticated programs, but at the end of the day, mental wellness is really making sure that we have what we need. Thanks a lot for that reminder, Sir June, and thank you for reminding us to be makatao. So really appreciate that. And to our listeners, our viewers, please send in. Let us know if you have any questions or comments. Type it in the comment section, and we would love to know your thoughts about what our guests are sharing about best practices. And speaking of which, we will go to our next segment. I'm so excited because this is the first time that I'm working with this segment host. Let's welcome the research associate of PMAP, Mr. Juan Miguel de Vera, who will facilitate our conversation in Must.
Good. Thank you, Miss John. A terrific afternoon to all of our viewers for today. Like what Miss Joan mentioned, I am Juan Miguel G. de Vera, a research associate at PMAP, and I will be your segment host for Must, where the events and current affairs that you simply cannot miss are in the spotlight. And for our Must this month, in celebration of Mental Health Month, we give importance to the mental health wellness of our viewers. Now, to join us in talking about My Wellness is My Uniqueness, we have the founder of PsychConsult, Dr. Arsenio S. Aliadan Jr., PhD in licensed and registered psychologist. Welcome to our segment, Dr. Aliadan. Good afternoon, Dr. Boboy.
Hello, Migs. Good afternoon. It's such a pleasure to be here today.
Yes, sir. Can you turn on your camera, sir? I cannot
My
see.
camera is on. I think my internet might be lagging a little bit.
Oh, okay, sir. No problem, doc. So, we can start off by you can kindly introduce yourself to our viewers, po.
I'm not able to hear you. I'm sorry.
You can kindly introduce yourself, doc, to our viewers.
Hello, Migs. I did not hear
Hello,
what you
sir.
said. No? Sorry.
How about now, sir? Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, sir. Oh, you can start off by kindly introducing yourself to our viewers po
Oh,
for this afternoon.
yes, I am Boboy Alianan, and I am a psychologist, no, a clinical psychologist in fact, no. I've been practicing psychology for almost 30 years now, and I mainly practice at Psych Consult Incorporated in Quezon City, but I'm also a full-time faculty member, associate professor at the Department of Psychology in Ateneo de Manila University.
Mhm. Okay, so let's dive right in, sir. So can you tell us a little background on Psych Consult? Like, what urged you to establish it, and how did it start?
Oh, in the late 90s, I used to practice independently together with a couple of colleagues, no? And, we shared the rent. We were practicing in a small apartment unit in office unit in Green Hills. And pretty soon, a number of people who wanted to become psychologists wanted to train under us. No, so they would come, and we would train them, and we would expose them to the work that we were doing. And after a while, we sort of like thought maybe we should band together and become one entity, no, and create perhaps the first group practice for psychology in the Philippines. And that's how PsychConsult was born. We've been around since 2001, so we're actually celebrating our 21st year today, this year.
Oh, happy anniversary to Psych Consult, sir. Truly, truly very
Thank you.
relevant in our country today. So, with that, on that note, should modern HR develop a mental health program, given the current setting of most workspaces in the country today? Should modern HR develop a specific mental health program for employees, and why? Why is that?
This is a very good question. Thank you for asking that, Migs. No, nowadays it is highly acknowledged, no, that well-being, mental health, no, are integral elements of health, and this is part of the definition of the WHO of what health constitutes. No? And then here in the Philippines, we have adopted this definition as a member state, of course, of the WHO. And in response to that, our own government had put together the Mental Health Act, no, in 2018. And up to this time, we're really slowly implementing the various provisions of that law. Now, the most important part, of course, of this is that the awareness of mental health and the integral part of mental health in health in general, but also, of course, in productivity and work. So if companies pay attention to the health of their employees, it is but natural that they should also be including the mental health of their employees.
Yes, sir. I totally agree with you. Just like how we give importance to the physical health of our employees, we should be able to give importance as well to the mental health and well-being of our employees. So, on a workplace setup, Doc, how can we identify or spot an employee who needs help with their mental health? And what's the best measure that we can implement or carry out in addressing such situations?
I think there are several levels that we can be thinking about how this very good question can be answered. No, on I think one very basic aspect would be on a policy level, right? Higher management needs to acknowledge that mental health indeed is part of health, and so we'll need to create provisions for employees to actually take mental health leaves, no, and also to acknowledge that there is a need to address mental health conditions and mental health issues, no, and this can be formalized by including perhaps mental health services into, let's say, the health packages that are offered to employees, no. So these are very basic provisions that we can ensure that a company really pays attention to the mental health of their employees. Now, another aspect of this, of course, is the approach. No? The approach of, let's say, managers, HR included, no? towards their employees. No, there is a reality that we need to confront of the stigma of mental illness or mental health conditions. No, and there is many people are do not understand it, and with the lack of understanding of mental health conditions, of course, come suspicion, or even outright denial of such conditions existing. No? And there are also the general parang sweeping under the carpet because it's invisible. It's not something that is clearly seen. No, and in fact sometimes it is an invisible killer. No, when for instance a person who is severely depressed decides to end their lives, and people don't even see that. No, a person, for instance, just decides to end their lives, and people wonder how did that happen when this person was just coming to work and doing their work, but they tended to be alone. They didn't want to mingle too much with people, but they seemed okay. No, so it's so easy to deny this. It's so easy to stigmatize it. No, it's so easy to minimize it. No, so I think the first step here, of course, is awareness that this is real. It really happens, it exists, and it affects people's lives. No, and then after that awareness happens, of course, the approach. No? And I mentioned this earlier. We need to approach employees with care. No, with care, and it's not just output. No, you have to give me what I need, right? It's also respecting what the person is able to give at that time and where they are in their lives. No, so for me, it's very, very important that we are sensitive to the needs of our employees. No, and that we are able to offer, if it is available, of course, in their health packages, to offer the services that could benefit them, free of stigma. No, that they are not stigmatized, or they don't have a red mark on their folders or their names because they went to see a mental health practitioner. No, so these are some of the things I think that we need to be addressing. We need to be doing as a way of really catering to the mental health of our employees.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Doc. I mean, breaking the stigma and the prolonged chain that has surrounded mental health in the Philippines starts with awareness and education. And I totally agree with you, Doc, that it should be normalized even in workspaces. So we have a question, Doc, from Ms. Rhea Roses Gadi from our Facebook page. Is mental health different from well-being? What aspects should employers focus on?
Mental health and well-being are synonymous. They are one and the same. No, when a person experiences good mental health, they feel well. No, but I think well-being is a much larger concept, because well-being, of course, includes physical health as well, right? That you feel well, you feel healthy, that everything is going well in your life.
Okay. I hope, Ms. Rhea, that answered your question. So for our last question, Doc, we have here, what are the best HR practices that you can suggest for HR practitioners that are listening to us right now to in order to promote a healthier work environment in their respective industries and companies?
I think it's very, very important that HR departments take a keen interest in promoting mental health in their companies. No, so it's really creating well-being programs. No, I know many companies, they actually do this already. They have yoga for lunch. They have talks on mental health on certain times. They have exercise programs, diba? But maybe over and above these general health programs, we can also include, tackling very common issues among, let's say, employees in the company, given their profile, given what might be at risk in the industry that they are, or given the kind of work culture they have, that there is a kind of enabling of protective factors. No, what are these protective factors? What are the things that we could be asking HR to be promoting? No, they could be promoting various kinds of skills that employees can use to help themselves. No, well, first, of course, being aware if they need anything, to be able to access the help that they need. No, and two, of course, being able to mobilize certain skills, no, problem solving skills, being able to mobilize certain self help skills that could help them in promoting their own mental health. No? But on top of this, of course, to also be able to identify by maybe through screening that is included in the annual physical exams, no, mental health as well. And if there are risks to mental health issues, that they are also referred to appropriate professionals, no, so that these are addressed. No? And we need to offer, of course, as always, because of the data privacy, no, confidentiality in all these services. No? So these are very, very important elements that we need to be paying attention to when we are in HR.
Yes, truly, Doc. The introduction and an establishment of a healthy working environment promotes good mental health for our employees. Thank you very much, Dr. Boboy, for that very informative talk. And I hope our viewers learned so much from our 15-minute segment for today. Back to you, Miss Joanne.
Thank you so much, Meg, and thank you so much, Dr. Boboy. I have to say thank you so much, Dr. Boboy, for Psych Consult. My family is actually one of those who use your services, and you have made a significant impact in our life. I just want to say out loud. You and your team are doing fantastic job in making a difference in the lives of many people. Thank you so much for joining our show this afternoon. And I'm thinking of, if we can if we can bring together HR professionals or businesses who can talk about their mental health or mental wellness programs, and also organizations that that can talk about their HR practices when we talk. Because there was sorry, I'm trying to recall an activity that I had, wherein we put together business owners where they had employees that has bipolar, and it was really about how they're doing it and what can we learn from it, and best practices around that. That was really a very good conversation, and I hope that we can also do something like that with the members of PMAP. Hello to Rhea and also to George. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And to all our other viewers, please feel free to send in a message or let us know if you have any questions or any thoughts, or if you know of a mental wellness program, or any thoughts about what we can do so that we can all collectively come together and learn more and manage more, and really embrace this conversation around mental wellness. So thank you so much for being with us. Now let's head on to the third segment, where we will talk about a way of leading your organization effectively. Introducing our next segment host, the founder and CEO of Movimentum Leadership and Management Consultancy. We have the ever reliable Miss Jacqueline Louie. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Joanne. Good afternoon. Maayong hapon from Davao. It's always lovely to see you. So leadership is both a science and an art. May it be leading a group of panday, just like in our first segment, or doctors, sales ladies, or group of teachers. It encompasses the ability to empower a diverse team and create an inclusive culture that provides supportive energy and commitment so everyone can contribute their best. Best will mean it includes the well-being of people, the positive growth of people and the business. Put simply, the collective mindset of an organization shapes its culture and performance. It's about the life-affirming leadership practices, or we put it as makatao. We can have meaningful conversations around this with our guest speaker today. She is an associate professor at the psychology department of the Ateneo de Manila University. She is also the executive director of the Ateneo Center for Organization Research and Development. She has over 20 years of practice in different areas of human resources management and organization development, including consulting work with the Department of Foreign Affairs, ABS-CBN Corporation, and Coca-Cola Export Corporation, among others. She has published in international and local journals and has also co-edited HRM, OD, and leadership books. Joy has a PhD in social organizational psychology from the Ateneo de Manila University, where she also obtained her master's degree. So help me welcome Mendiola Teng Calleja, or we fondly call her Joy.
Hi, good afternoon, Jack. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really glad to be part of People Manager on CAM.
Yeah, very much a warm welcome to you, Joy, and we are very much happy to have you today. So I would like to give my first question, Joy. So how does science-based leadership look like for you?
Jack, for me, it's two things. No, one is making decisions, based on data. So leaders, as we know, make tough decisions, and they need data to effectively do that. No? Although, syempre, intuition, common sense, gut feel may also be valid. Data coming from the ground, the employees, the different stakeholders, allow us to make decisions that are relevant and that would have greater likelihood to give the results also that we want. No, and then second, considering what previous research also tells us, di ba, there are many reputable sources from the net, white papers, journal articles, etc. So it won't hurt to browse through those and just see what social science or management literature can tell us about the issue at hand. No, so doing those will really demonstrate science-based leadership.
Wow, thank you so much, Joy. Yes, indeed, I can really resonate well with you that if we really hear uh, the voices of our people, we leaders as well will really be guided in our decisions and what impact we are creating to them, the people that we are leading to. So, for my next question, Joy, with your rich experiences and research, as I mentioned to you yesterday, binabasa lang kita before, no? So, and I'm very glad that I am here with you now and having conversations with you now, no? So, with your rich experiences and research, what thoughts you can share with our leaders in our country today in bridging science and practice?
Siguro yung two things that I mentioned earlier, no? Enable database or evidence-based decision making and consider what existing literature tells us. I think leaders talaga need to create that mindset and competence within themselves and in the other members of their team. No? Create that kind of culture and also set up systems and structures that will support it. For example, alam mo, Jack, we are now conducting Ateneo Cord scores on the fundamentals of data-driven HR. And we learned that many organizations are setting up their data analytics team. O di ba nakakatuwa? There are finance people, economists that are now working with those with psychology, behavioral science backgrounds, to jumpstart their HR analytics. So isn't that beautiful, di ba? Ang ganda nung ganong synergy. And we know also that most literature, lalo na on organizations in HR, come from weird societies, Western, educated, industrialized, rich and democratic societies. So kami sa Cord and other academics have been advocating and working on building local knowledge, but we need the help of industry, So I hope that industry participates in our studies, to partner with us on this. We're very happy that some organizations, for example, now tap us, Ateneo Cord, for mental health assessment in their organization so that they can craft mental health policies and strategies that are relevant to their employees. Also, ito lang, last Friday, I was talking to people from representative, from a BPO, and they asked for our help in using our tool to measure quality of life, among their employees and to translate that data in determining living wage, that promotes, a quality of life, yung magandang buhay for their employees and their families. So those kinds of partnerships sana will really show a good partnership or a good partnership between academics, industry, and academe for the benefit of our employees.
Wow, congratulations for that, Joy. No, it's really very exciting to hear that we are now starting to build our own evidences
Mm.
in our Filipino society, our Filipino culture, and for the Filipino leaders as well. And it also creates a healthy well-being, or a healthy and wellness also of the leaders, because they are also guided well in their decisions based on these facts or based on these evidences. So apart from that, Joy, it seems like it is now a trend, no, that we really need to base on these evidences in terms of leading
Mm.
people. So aside from that, what else could be trends kaya on Filipino leadership practices that you can share with us that are meaningfully impacting health and well-being, not just of their employees, not just of their teams, as well as of the leaders?
Yeah. So right now we all know no the difficulties, the challenges that we've faced because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and much of the leader's role no during periods of crisis really involves crisis management and yung actions natin to reduce the negative impact of this. In the early part of the pandemic, Court conducted a study no, that gathered employees' perceived traits and behaviors of an effective leader during crisis. And we saw three things, no, three themes that emerged from our analysis. So una is attending to the person of the employee, so taking care of their, syempre, di ba, well-being and making sure that they're supported. And then also taking charge and showing the way forward, no, providing that guidance as well as sustaining the spirit. So almost half no, of the responses really pertain to the perceived traits of being compassionate, caring, and how these were demonstrated through supportive leader behavior. So these are, according to our participants, as what's most important. So they, in describing their leaders, no, participants shared how compassion was evident and that the leader's action showed how they regarded their most valuable resource. So of course, the people in the organization. So there are also expressions of empathy, concern, di ba? All of these things, when our leader provides us with this, di ba? Talaga naman, it contributes really to our wellness, no? It contributes to our mental health as employees, no? In another study, though, that looked at emotional experiences of middle managers during COVID, and this is a masteral thesis of one of my advisees, no, si Miss Erica Rivera. So yung feelings of anxiety, fear, as well as pride, no, yung positive side din, in being able to transition, adapt work to COVID, lahat to shared by both the employees and the leaders, no, the team members and the leaders. Kaya lang, there's extra pressure, no, for the leaders to appear in control in front of their team members. No, I'm sure you can relate to that, no, Jack? Parang we need to sort of show others, we provide as anchor to others, no? So we want to show others that we're in control and that we can manage the situation. Pero deep inside, we're also scared and anxious, right? So it's really emotional labor. And I think that's something that we leaders need to be aware of. That we also need to take care of ourselves as we take care of others, no? Otherwise, kasi our energy, our passion may get depleted and we cannot pour from an empty cup, no? So we take care of others' well-being. We also, no, ensure self-care.
Wow. Wow, these are really beautiful, Joy, no? That we need to be, when we exercise being compassionate to others, we need to be compassionate to ourselves. And how does it look like? We need to really manage our energy. We need to manage how we are going to regulate as well ourselves, no? So that we will not be drained, no? So, and of course,
Mm.
exercise or the practice of care, not just caring for others para hindi tayo mauubos. We need also to care for ourselves, like
True.
putting healthy boundaries, no? Kasi tao yung mga leaders.
Yeah.
So hindi dapat
Oo, totoo.
so hindi dapat nauubos sila, no? So I just would like to say hi to Rhea, no? Rosas Gadi, she's saying hi to us, to you, Joy, and also from Gyrex, no? Thank you so much for watching us from from Qatar. No, so going back to my, I think this will be my last question, Joy. No, so as a leader yourself, so you were saying about taking care of yourself, no, so being compassionate also of yourself and taking care of yourself. So as a leader yourself, Joy, can you share with us how do you deal with difficult situations or people who are difficult to work with?
Um, well, Jack, it varies, no? Kasi, for example, if the difficulty is expressed, no, or the nature of the difficulty is non-performance, diba? That's something else. Usually, here in court, for example, we make sure that we craft an individual development plan with the person, we follow through, no, and I've had two instances, no, that has been experienced, and then eventually, no, one of them, parang it's person job fit, so you try to also manage that. Another difficult situation, no, related to well-being would be managing talaga work-life balance. It's a challenge, especially since we have a high accountability, results-oriented culture, no? So, well, we're still navigating that difficulty, that challenge. But right now, no, we're engaging in an employee well-being and mental health assessment, no, and then we'll sort of consolidate our policies, current policies, and improve, no, our policies and strategies, no. Personally, I think that we have kasi certain structures and systems already. We have the law that guides us, right? It actually mandates us, no, to have mental health policies and strategies, no, in our organizations. And I think personally as a leader, no, if we just abide by that, no, and be creative and make sure that it's applicable and relevant to our employees and applicable and relevant to us also, then we as leaders are not just taking care of the mental health and well-being of the people in the organization. Kasama tayo doon. These policies, these guidelines, these programs also apply to us, no? So if we will just advocate, no, for these things, we can also take care of ourselves as leaders. One thing that's also helpful, I'm sure you've heard about mindfulness, no? Our center here in the Ateneo, our sister center, the Bulatao Center for Psychological Services, is one of the advocates of mindfulness, no? And it's really just paying attention in the present moment, and it enhances our self-awareness, allows us to manage our thoughts, emotions, yung stress, di ba? So it really improves our well-being. So I hope that leaders will also try to maximize and use mindfulness, no, in managing their wellness or improving on their wellness.
Wow, thank you so much, Joy. Si Rhea may tanong, but I think you have already expressed that, no, yung sinabi niya. Ano ba yung most critical skill a leader must have to support their team's mental health? And I think you have mentioned about being mindful or practicing that mindfulness. Or is there any critical skill that you would like to mention or share for us?
Yeah, oo. Kasi, and this is very strong in HR, no? Really looking at, and I think Buboy also mentioned this, treating your employees as human beings, as people, no? And making sure that we give them that attention, no? In Ateneo, we call it pura personalis, no? And you understand the person as yung uniqueness niya, yung capacity niya, and you really try, no, to provide that environment, all those opportunities that will help that person grow. Okay? Sabi ko nga, para rin what we learned in kindergarten, how you want yourself to be treated, you treat others that way. Diba? So I think that's an important competence, no, amongst leaders, that we develop that kind of attitude, those values actually, and how to implement that, no, through actual programs and dealings, interactions with others.
Wow. It's not easy really to be a leader. Thank you, Joy. No? So it's really both a science and an art. All right. So thank you so much, Joy, for this very short and sweet and really wonderful conversations today. Going back to you, Joanne.
Thank you so much, Jackie, and thank you also, Joy. I agree with Jackie. I always read, Ateneo course materials, very helpful resource for leaders like me, and of course for so many other PMAP leaders. And I like it. There are so many changes, and data will be our tool in navigating the new landscape. And I look forward to those new studies, new researches, and I hope that we can come together and really talk about this new information that we have can really be very, very valuable as we navigate so many changes in the workplace. Thank you so much again, Dr. Joy. And now we will move to our fourth segment, the fourth letter in the acronym of PMAP, letter P for Prick Your Heart. I'm so excited for the first time I'm also working with him here in our show, our communication specialist of PMAP, Mr. Martin Alcantara. Hi, Martin.
Hello, hello. Thank you, Miss Joanne. And magandang hapon sa ating lahat. Isang maulan na hapon sa ating lahat. So, hello to all people, managers, and HR practitioners that are watching us today. I am Martin Alcantara, the communications specialist of the People Management Association of the Philippines. And I welcome you to the final segment of our show where you get your heart pounding with excitement. So today we have recorded interviews of emerging youth leaders with their own student-led organizations. As we all know, our national hero once said that ang kabataan ang pag-asa ng bayan. That's why we give the spotlight to our youth leaders and ask them how they lead their organization. So let's get the ball rolling. And to introduce our first video is Ranch Ramas, the founder of Outbox Labs. So roll VTR.
Mabuhay! My name is Ranch Mengito Ramas and I am the Executive Director and founder of Outbox Labs. We are a multimedia network where outside the box thinking is made visual. As someone who leads a network of creativity and knowledge, I continue to foster a culture of diversity and inclusivity. It can be tough and overwhelming for people to be in an organization that has a lot of outlets for their own expression. Helping people with systems, procedures, and the like occur naturally to me. Hence, to be healthy and well in an organization is to lend a helping hand and a listening ear. By practicing this, it can really boost team synergy and encourage others to become the leaders of tomorrow. Because at Outbox Labs, we care and think OB Extra.
So there we have it, our first student leader. And joining us again is our ever beautiful Miss Joanne Rosary Acetre, and to react to that video. So Miss Joanne, ano po tingin natin ang ating student leader from Outbox Labs?
I'm so amazed, and we should invite the student leader again. I mean, very young CEO. I mean, I think it was last August. We had our episode was about young business leaders. Dapat ma-invite din natin ulit yun. I like the energy, very fresh, very innovative. I mean, really very inspiring. Nakangiti ako habang pinanonood ko siya. That is very nice. I like it.
Actually, Ranch Ramas was my public relations officer back in UST on our organization at our organization. So naka-work ko na siya, and of course, being a student leader is very different from being a simple student. Being a student leader has your priorities will be, of course, different kesa po pag naging ano tayo
Exactly.
student lang. So
Exactly.
like Ranch Rama said, being a student leader, being a leader of an organization, you need to take care of your team, you need to take care of your members. You must be ready to help them, to reach a helping hand whenever they need it, to, of course, to promote well-being din, mahirap naman if yung members utusan lang natin and then bahala na sila sa buhay nila. So that's so yun yung
Exactly.
sabi ni Ranch.
Exactly. I like what he said. Yes. And those are very significant learnings to bring into the workplace.
Yes, of course. Do we proceed with our next
Yes.
video? Our next
Yes.
and last video is the secretary of an executive board member and the secretary of the Communication Arts Students Association of the University of Santo Tomas. Let me introduce to you Luis Elaine Legaspi. Roll VTR.
Hi, my name is Luis Elaine Legaspi, 19 years old, a sophomore from the Communications Program of the University of Santo Tomas, and I am the secretary of the UST Communication Arts Students Association. And the question for me is, how do I, a young leader, make myself healthy and well in the organization? Well, I'd probably say that having that work and life balance, being able to separate my professional self and my sociable self helps me maintain a healthy relationship with my work. I remain great friends with my colleagues outside work, but I never lose the grip of professionalism whenever I need to accomplish my tasks. Additionally, being able to accept criticism is another way for me to keep a healthy and developing work ethic. You don't have to do things right the first time, but it's always good to value others' feedback of you and your performance in, of course, order to effectively improve on your skills. I'd probably say that every day is still a learning opportunity, but with my principles, I could confidently say that I am able to thrive proudly in my own community, and I hope you guys too.
There we have it, Miss L. Legaspi. Miss Joanne, what she mentioned earlier, no, work-life balance. This is for us employees, work-life balance. But for the student leaders, they have work, life, and academics balance, of course. Because before being a student leader, before being a leader, they're a student first. So, madami talagang priorities na kailangan pag-isipan. I was a student leader myself back in my college days. I was the president of the Communications Association of UST. So it's really hard to balance academics, being a leader, and your social life. Uh, it's really hard actually. Imagining, reflecting, going back to all those memories. It's really hard. But at the end, when you see your members fulfilled, when you have empowered them at the end of the day, it's really rewarding to experience that um experience, of course.
Yes, yes,
So
very much. I am so speechless actually, Martin, because I'm just so amazed by you, by Migs, and also, of course, by the guests in our recorded videos. I feel like I'm talking to my kids. My daughter is actually has graduated college. She graduated from UST for her senior high school. Yeah. So, and I'm just it's just it is just very refreshing for me to have a conversation with someone like you, and for you to share with me, your challenges. It's work. It's not just work-life balance. That is something really very significant for me as a takeaway from this conversation with you. Really learned a lot. And you're right. You have so many pressure, and then also, of course, expectations are also there from so many different people, and I can imagine that can be quite a toll on someone like you, and also, of course, the leaders that shared their insights in the video.
okay, so I think that's it. This has been Martin Alcantara, your segment host for Perk Your Heart, and hoping to that we give value to the voice of our youth. Back to you, Miss Joanne.
Thank you so much, Martin. Really appreciated that very refreshing conversation with you. I really love that. And also, of course, to the officers of UST and the CEO of Outbox Lab. Was that a correct one? Thank you so much for being here in our show. And I hope we will have more conversations in the future. I also want to thank Sir Jude of Pandayan Bookshop, Dr. Buboy of Site Consult, and of course, Ms. Joy of Ateneo Court. We really learned a lot from you. And I do pray that you would, God would continue to shower you with grace and strength in whatever you do, because you are all inspirations for leaders like me as we continue to navigate this so many overwhelming changes around us. Really, thank you so much. And I would like to invite back to our show our segment hosts, Migs, Joan, Jackie, and Martin.
Hello. That was so refreshing.
Hello.
Yeah, we should have more of this, you know? This is diversity in age.
Lumis, we can see a hint. We all look at the same
Wow.
age.
Oh,
Ang importante, hindi halata.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oo nga. I'm so curious. Probably I would go first to Joan and Jackie. What are your tips for leaders, to help manage the mental well-being of their employees?
Okay. So yeah, for me, actually, my key takeaway from the session with Sir Jun, no, was really go back to your values. Because values nila, it's more of the people, di ba? It's really paying it forward, and it really reflected. So, my advice is like, di ba, just align with your values and use this as your guide, as our compass, no, for navigating the culture of the organization. And I think this will also reflect in how we treat our people. Um, Especially yung kay Sir Jun, yung paying it forward, no, by just giving to their employees, even their employees are paying it forward and then paying it back to the organization. It's like an endless cycle of paying it forward. It's beautiful.
Right, right. Thanks a lot,
Thank
Joan.
you.
Yeah, the person as a whole, no? Makatao. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I like
And
that.
then, yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Jackie?
Yeah, and to build on that, no, since Joan is talking about the values, no, so we are talking here about our being, right? That's why it's called well-being. So if we talk about our being, then we talk about people and we talk about life. So if as leaders, we really need to check. Now we really need to recheck and again redefine, are our practices really life affirming practices? So that's why it's not good for us to parang others really are ano to, parang inaano pa nila that their employees really are working until 4 a.m. Is it a hanap buhay or a hanap
Perhanap pa tayo.
so it's really more of your being and make it
Right.
well, no? So and to do that we need to also like go to the groups of joy. We really studied leadership so that we'll really learn from it, no? So and us leaders will be guided as well kasi tao din tayo, no? So hindi din tayo dapat mauubos, no? Kasi kung wala na tayo, so paano na, no? So
Yeah.
so it's really going back to our being and make it well.
Right, right. Thanks a lot, Jackie. Yeah. And it's everyone's responsibility. Thanks a lot for sharing that. I would go to Mix. Mix, what are your tips to individuals so that they would be able to, take care of themselves? From Joan and Jackie, we heard about, us leaders, what can we do to support our team members? But for you, how about as an individual?
As someone who has been advocating for mental health awareness and well-being for so long since I was in high school, the best thing that an individual can do is to be aware of oneself. When we have it always starts just like what Dr. Bobe mentioned earlier. It always starts with acknowledging your feelings and what you're going through instead of just shrugging it under the mat and disregarding your needs. It's about appreciating it and acknowledging what you're going through, because that's when you find solutions and the best practices that you can employ for yourself. So I think as employees, aside from depending on the measures that are being implemented by our respective workspaces, the best thing that we can do is to know what we need and when we need it, and to not disregard in any situation that we find ourselves in. So yes,
Right,
Mr.
right. be proactive in knowing what resources are available and take advantage of it, right? It's in our
Yes,
hands,
yes.
thanks a lot. I'm curious, Martin, how about you? What are your thoughts about, because we're talking about the workplace, how about in the personal life? Any thoughts to family members, parents, siblings, how we can support each other in terms of our mental wellness?
In terms of our family members, of course, always ask them how they are. Of course, um, our us Filipinos are very known to have close family ties. So a simple "kamusta ka ma," "kamusta ka ate," "kamusta ka kuya" is actually a big step towards to um para mas maging close yung family natin, ano. Minsan hindi natin alam na may problema pala yung kapamilya natin, ano. But
Right.
all you have to do is ask minsan eh. And minsan, you have to take that extra step towards asking them if they are sad or they have a problem. And of course, lend a helping hand um, if they have a problem, because at the end of the day, you're still family. You need to help one another. So I think that's my tip to um, us. Of course, we have our own families. So ask them how they feel, ask them how they are right now, if they're happy, if they have any problems. So just be there for them. As families, we have to be there for our family members.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Martin. A very great reminder to everyone, including leaders, of course, at workplace. Mental health, includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects everyone. It affects how we think, how we feel, how we act, and it's very important. It covers every area, every stage of our life, from childhood, adolescence, through adulthood, from our personal life, and of course, in the workplace. We really have to make it a priority to take care of ourselves, and we should not, delegate that to someone else or make it the last priority. It should be our priority. Thank you so much to our guests and of course our segment host. And I invite everyone check out the People Manager magazine online at www.peoplemanager.ph, where you will read more about what we have discussed this afternoon. People Manager on Camp is also open to sponsorship. Contact Martin Alcantara of PMAP. Contact details are displayed below. For those interested to join PMAP, the premier organization of HR leaders in the country, check our website for membership details. I want to acknowledge and introduce the committee and the people behind this online program, our President, Ellen Folido, our COPA and the Board of Trustees, the committee members of PMAP's Branding and Marketing, Media and Communications Committee, and of course, our Editor-in-Chief of the People Manager magazine, Jove Bataikan. We also have our technical team helping us behind the show, Sarah and Dale. Who have been very helpful in making this happen. Of course, Martin was also very helpful there. We hope that this episode was very helpful and insightful for you. To all of our viewers, thank you so much for tuning with us. Tune in again next month for the latest topics and discussions in the people management world. Again, my name is Joanne Rosaria Setre, and this is People Manager on Cam. Bye.